presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned, and they've been absolutely fantastic to work with, and it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before we went to the United Nations, and we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. I don't have anybody that's saying we don't want anything to do with it. It's just the opposite. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I don't think we would have had this kind of participation, Mr. VP, right? I don't think we would have had. It's been amazing. Congratulations, and I want to thank you very much.
Graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East, and I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Passed it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone, that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think, helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen, wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, and many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add in Hebrew, G'mal Chatima Tova, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bibi. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions, or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think. No.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you.
All right, as you are watching there, shaking hands, President Trump with Israel.
All righty, guys. I tell you what, not the end of that was kind of weird. The end of that was definitely kind of weird, guys. What's going on? Kevin Smith here. Loud Majority Live on Monday, September 29th, 2025. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I would have thought they would have taken questions, and that exchange at the end, definitely a little weird. Definitely a little weird. I'm sure the anti-Israel people will fawn. Twitter is probably exploding right now, so I'm so happy to be here with you and not there. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place as we are rocking and rolling this Monday at 3 p.m. Giddy up, guys. We got some big stories that we're going to go over. Donald Trump takes Portland in an unprecedented move as the feds continue to protect federal buildings from the Antifa rioters, as Donald Trump has labeled them domestic terrorists. Now they can step right in. Now they can step right in. Also, new reporting out about what James Comey did leading up to the 2016 presidential election. Some real dirty stuff from a real dirty cop. Also, the left continues to celebrate political violence as a weird group of people, a very weird group of people, celebrates the death of a domestic terrorist. Really no two ways about it. But before we get started, guys, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. Guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on over here. You guys can use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. Oh, no. And, of course, for our local audience, this weekend will be our big Montauk rally that we do every single year, starting at the Massapequa train station at 10 a.m., leaving at 12 noon, headed out east. There's going to be a lot of new people there, so we hope to see all of you guys. Once again, that's our what is it, our sixth annual Montauk rally. Giddy up, let's go. Good times are abound. Hopefully we see you guys there. So the big story over the weekend is Donald Trump taking Portland. Donald Trump has deployed National Guard troops in order to protect federal establishments from these Antifa radicals. And naturally, people are getting apoplectic about it. People are very, very, very upset with arrests being made all over the place. In the city of Portland. Here was some of the footage out of Portland this weekend. Now, for all the people out there claiming that fascism is taking over America, yeah, that looked real fascist right there, with the cops retreating from the protesters. Now, with all that being said, I want to make something very clear. All these people are doing is protecting federal buildings so that local cops don't have to. That's all they're doing. It's not a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. It's none of that. So for all the people out there who have read one history book in their entire life, probably a people's history of the United States, which we'll get into later on, really nothing has changed. Virtually nothing has changed. President Trump has the absolute right to protect federal buildings from radical members of the violent left. And, of course, we've seen the left get more and more radical, more and more violent over the last several weeks. There was more footage of the arrests and of what all was going on in Portland. I got a feeling that this is going to be one of those things that gets a lot worse before it gets better. So just the very presence of the cops being there naturally has people losing their mind, calling it a fascist takeover of one of America's largest cities. Well, maybe President Trump wouldn't have to do that if you people did your jobs. But of course, you won't do that because deep down, the left supports the sorts of things that are going on. The radical left supports these sorts of moves. And it shouldn't come as a shock to anybody that the American people simply do not back them on this. Here's just a random man in Portland who is thanking President Trump for saving his city.
I am so happy that Trump is sending the National Guard in here. I live in this building. We both live in this building. We've been asking for help for months, and we're finally going to get it.
When do you think they're coming?
When? Not soon enough, man. Not soon enough.
What do you want to see happen?
I want him to come in and mess them up and just annihilate these people. Whatever force they need. Whatever force they need. Gals like her and the other people that live in the building. Watch out. They're the ones. They're the ones that I'm concerned about. So they're afraid to come out of the building. So I've been coming out every night, every day to help them, to make sure that they're okay. She won't even leave the building with him.
Are you afraid of the protesters?
Very. It's an extreme mob mentality to me, which means nothing is as it should be.
So are you excited that Trump's deploying the troops here?
Very excited. I cannot wait.
I can't wait for them to leave.
Forever and ever. Amen.
And if they don't leave, I'm going to bring in the gypsy jokers.
I mean, look, everybody in a city hits their breaking point. Everybody in a city hits their breaking point. But what does this mean for elections? Look, we know that Portland is an incredibly left-wing city. We know how the people there operate. We know this is like basically the birthplace of Antifa. But what does it mean for the particular issues? Well, there's interesting polling coming out, which suggests some very odd things. And Bill Maher spoke about this on his show over the weekend on the issues. President Trump, well, I should say Republicans are winning on all of the issues. Yet President Trump himself is down in many of the polls. I'll show you this Bill Maher clip and then we will discuss, because I find this incredibly interesting.
And yet, in the other poll on issues, Trump still winning. So this is your big opportunity, Democrats. He's down in the numbers, and you still can't score. When they ask who has a better plan, Republicans crushing it on crime, immigration, wars, the economy, even corruption. Democrats win by 2 points on respect for democracy. Now, some of this is just because people are fucking stupid. 2 points on respect for democracy. Democrats win on health care, environment, women's rights, respect for democracy. But on those issues, I bet you that are the big ones that they vote on more: crime, immigration, wars, economy, corruption. So that's the takeaway there.
The only thing the Democratic Party stands for today is opposition to Donald Trump.
And as much as I really dislike Michael Smerconish, he's not wrong there. Democrats are just the anti-Trump party. But when it comes to the singular issues, President Trump is winning on all of them. Now, why is this happening? I think this is happening because of the unfair way people are actually criticizing every single move that President Trump makes. Therefore, people aren't going to like him, but they're going to like the results in which they are getting. Now, what does that mean for the midterms? Well, that remains to be seen. But the bottom line is that people are liking what Trump is doing. They just may not like him, which I got to be honest with you, I don't really care about. I don't really care if you like the president. I'm here for the results. But the part of that I found the funniest, was the idea of corruption and respect for democracy. Well, over the weekend, we learned some things. About James Comey. James Big Bird Comey, who, of course, was federally indicted for perjury, but it turns out he's just as corrupt as every other FBI director to come before and after him. Turns out the FBI is just a corrupted institution, which we're going to get to in 1 second. Before we do that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, it's that time of year again, isn't it? My favorite time of year, fall. Oh, I love the leaves. I love the autumn smell. I love the pumpkins. I love it all right before the snow flies. But what I don't love that comes with the cold weather and the fall weather is the flu, are the sniffles, the cold. All those common cold sniffles that you get every year. And if you have kids in the house, little kids going to and fro school, and they're coming back and they're touching everything and they're bringing the bacteria and all those viruses home from school, you don't want anything to do with that. You want to be proactive rather than reactive. That's why we're going to talk about propolis today. You know what propolis is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, propolis is what works as a barrier to keep the beehive absolutely safe. And what am I talking about? Well, Beekeepers Naturals. Now, my wife really turned me on to this. This is an endorsement of my wife and then myself as well. Beekeepers Naturals, folks, that is exactly what this is. This is a proactive rather than a reactive, all natural, all clean alternative to big food and big pharma. You've got your Beekeepers vitamin C packs, which are perfect for on the go, right? You've got your Beekeepers Propolis nasal spray. A few shots up the nose, clears out your nostrils, cleans any congestion that you have, and it's all natural, and it's going to work as a proactive barrier to any of that unwanted bacteria getting in. How about the Beekeepers All Natural Propolis Immune Throat Spray? 3 or 4 pumps of that a day, and anything that you're breathing in is going to be either repelled or killed right away. That's the amazing thing about propolis, and that is the amazing thing about Beekeepers Naturals. And I got a 20% discount for you. What's better than that? 20% discount. Look, you can even get the throat soothing pops and the kids prebiotic fiber pops, along with the throat spray, along with the nasal spray, along with the vitamin C packs. Folks, they've got it all, and it's an all-natural, clean, beautiful option for you to have in order to, get away from the big food, get away from the big pharma, and go more natural, especially with a 20% discount. How can you not go to Beekeepers Naturals today /LFA and get your 20% discount? Clean out your medicine cabinet today with beekeepers.com /LFA. And now back to the show.
So Republicans seem to be winning on all of the issues, and the one that I find the most interesting is the idea of the respect for democracy. And of course, Bill Maher, living in the bubble in which he's living in, has no idea of the world around him. We found out over the weekend, we found out last weekend, that James Comey would be indicted for perjury for lying to Congress, which of course is a crime, whether you're the FBI director or not. But we also found out that James Comey had, I don't know whether he planned on getting caught or not, whatever his motivation was, decided that he was going to, quote, honeypot the Trump 2016 campaign. So when Donald Trump goes out there and says that they spied on his campaign and idiots like Leslie Stahl want to pretend that they didn't, well, we now have new whistleblower reporting that it turns out that's exactly what he did.
Infiltrate President Trump's first campaign by using 2 undercover agents in a so-called honeypot operation?
Incredible.
Todd Pyro joins us with details. Todd.
This is big. Under the leadership of new FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, the Bureau has reportedly launched an investigation into the agency's plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign using 2 female undercover agents. The Washington Times reporting that the program was launched in 2015 by then FBI Director James Comey. The honeypot scheme was actually kept off the books, and according to a whistleblower, Comey's investigation was separate from Crossfire Hurricane. You, of course, know that as the FBI's operation that looked into allegations Trump's campaign colluded with Russia. A whistleblower disclosure says, quote, the case had no predicated foundation, so Comey personally directed the investigation without creating an official case file in Sentinel or any other FBI system. The FBI has multiple methods of protecting highly sensitive investigations, so Comey did not have a legitimate reason not to officially create an official investigation file or have a file number. FBI leaders are reportedly looking for those once undercover agents who are said to have infiltrated the Trump campaign at high levels. Back over to you.
This story is insane. Thank you so much, Todd. The whistleblower said that Comey personally directed it and using 2 female undercover agents as honeypots. They say it usually refers to an undercover operative who feigns sexual or romantic interest to obtain information on a target. So were these honeypots targeting Donald Trump? Were they targeting people on his team? Were they women that we were seeing on air all the time traveling with him?
If this is true, he's a dirty cop. And this is the same thing that is alleged that they did the same thing to Martin Luther King Jr. as well and recorded him to use as leverage. So the FBI, which was supposed to have reformed if this report is true, apparently never reformed at all.
Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover moved. James Comey always said he was above it all. And we know, soon we're going to find out if that indeed was he above it all. Was he just tall or was he just, was he actually...
Yeah, so it turns out, despite Brian Kilmeade's stupid commentary there towards the end, the FBI was involved in the Trump 2016 campaign at the behest of James Comey. And it got to be so bad, that he didn't even see fit to open an FBI file on it because he knew exactly what he was doing. But over on MSNBC, they're not worried. Over on MSNBC, they are not concerned. What they're concerned about is that this indictment could really take up a lot of James Comey's time.
Maybe Comey will end up walking away from this, but this will still be expensive. It will be stressful. It could ruin Comey's life for a time, and it seems to be foreshadowing, if Comey's now, who could be next?
Right. I think that's the punishment. It's the punishment. James Comey has to have expensive lawyers now, and it'll take a lot of his time and emotional investment. Theoretically, his liberty will be at stake in this case, and that's what. Look, the Justice Department. A federal indictment is nothing to sneeze at. It is a life-changing event, and this is clearly punishment directed at James Comey. I mean, it couldn't be more explicit because that's what Donald Trump demanded in so many words in that message to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It's basically saying, go indict this guy. Find something to indict this guy on.
Try getting the sentence out there, bro. So he's really concerned. Not that James Comey lied to the American people, not that he lied to Congress. He's really, really concerned that James Comey may need some lawyers. Well, I got to be honest, guy who looks like Franklin the Turtle. Usually criminals need lawyers. That's sort of the essence of criminaling when you get caught. See, James Comey never thought that he was going to get caught, so he wasn't really too concerned with that. But it's good to see that the chickens are finally coming home to roost for some people. It's good to see that things are finally starting to happen. Look, I said it last week, and a lot of people got mad that a lot of us are concerned or flummoxed that things are not moving at an appropriate speed and the speed in which we would want them to happen. But the bottom line is things are happening, and they're happening pretty fast. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here. We're going to move on because there are other topics that I want to make sure that I get to. Not least among them is Bill Maher admitting the Christian genocide in Nigeria, which apparently you're not allowed to talk about because there's no Arabs or Jews involved. The only genocide you're allowed to talk about are the ones happening in the Middle East, but if they're happening anywhere else, then nobody really cares. We're also going to talk about shutdown policy and what all is happening there. And of course, Mayor Eric Adams has dropped out of the mayoral race. What this means moving forward, what has to happen next. Some people aren't going to like my answer, but you know what? I live in reality. I just do. Sorry. If you don't like that, turn the damn channel. What are we going to do? What's happening, everybody? Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We're going to be back in 1 second with Old Glory Bang.
What do a neurosurgeon, a country artist, and a television and radio host have in common? They all saw the writing on the wall. Big banks sharing your financial information with big government. Join them as owners in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Invest today at own.oldglorybank.com.
Guys, you know Old Glory Bank is a proud sponsor of this show, and we are proud to partner with them. Head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com, and lock in those interest rates today before Jerome Powell either gets fired or loses his job. Who the hell knows what's going to happen first? Go to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. So, a government shutdown is looming. At the moment, we are pretty much on the cusp of that. Democrats are not budging. Suddenly, Democrats love the idea of the filibuster. What do I mean by that? Well, there needs to be a handful of Democrats in the Senate who vote for this budget, or the government will shut down. Now, I want to be clear. I don't really care if the government shuts down. Shut it down. Whatever. All the people out there who are going to claim that Social Security payments aren't going to go out, of course they will. Your soldiers aren't going to get paid. Of course they will. They always do. We do this like every 4 months for no discernible reason whatsoever. But Democrats are stuck on their talking points, their demands right now. They want free health insurance for illegal immigrants, $500 million to be given back to NPR, and a $1.5 trillion spending increase in exchange for averting the government shutdown. And all I got to say is shut it down, bro. Shut it down. See if I care. Here's Mike Johnson.
So we've been working really hard to get the House back to the regular appropriations order, and we've achieved that. In the House, in a bipartisan fashion, they passed all 12 appropriations bills through the committee, 3 of them off the floor. The Senate passed 3 bills. Remember the old videos on Saturday mornings about how a bill becomes a law? If the House and the Senate disagree on an appropriation spending bill, they go to a conference committee to work it out. We voted to do that. All this is working well, but we're coming up on the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. So we need a few more weeks to finish this good work. So what we did in a responsible manner as Republicans in charge is we offered a totally clean short-term CR to get that job done. Chuck Schumer saw that. He returned a counteroffer that is filled with partisan wish lists and poison pills and demands. It includes, for example, Brett, what Chuck Schumer is arguing for. He wants to reinstate free health care for illegal aliens. He wants to add $500 million to prop up liberal media outlets. And he wants to add a massive $1.4 trillion spending hike to what should be a simple 7-week stopgap funding measure. We can't do that. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do it, so we will see what happens with the government shutdown. Look, I'm all for shutting the government down. I absolutely don't care. Shut it down, see if my life changes one way or the other. Now, with that being said, the longer a government shutdown goes on for, the more the executive who is in charge during that government shutdown is criticized. There's no real rhyme or reason for it. That's just sort of the way things go. So will President Trump make that sort of political calculation? Is he willing to take those sorts of hits? I think he should be. Firstly, under a government shutdown, President Trump would get exceedingly more power than he's already exerting right now, which, of course, would make Democrats go absolutely apoplectic. But shut it down. I'm not paying for health insurance for illegal immigrants, and I'm not paying for NPR. I'm not paying for any of these things. It's just not going to happen. That is not what I voted for. Not what I voted for whatsoever. But, who knows? Maybe if we shut the government down, Democrats will continue to, shoot people, as we've seen with their political rhetoric for quite some time now. Here was Scott Jennings commenting on the looming shutdown.
Well, hopefully the Democrats come to their senses here and will go to the floor of the respective chambers and pass a clean continuing resolution. The Republicans put that on the floor. No tricks, no funny business, nothing up our sleeves. Just, hey, let's keep the government open for another several weeks while we work this through in a normal process. Democrats voted against that. And so I'm hoping they come out of this meeting thinking that that's a better option than simply shutting down the government. It's just not realistic, the demands they're making. Now, Donald Trump may get in the room and wheel and deal. He is a deal maker, so like Speaker Johnson, I wouldn't want to predict what the president's willing to do on the fly. But I do think it's pretty reprehensible that the Democrats have taken us to the brink of a shutdown with a list of demands that, frankly, are just not even within the realm of the realistic right now. But again, is holding the government hostage for the next 48 hours and taking us to the brink of a shutdown instead of having a reasonable process over the next few weeks, legitimate tactic by the Democrats? I don't know about that.
Well, we'll see, Scott Jennings, because as we've seen, Democrats and their media-aligned groups will take the radical tact at every single possible opportunity. So perhaps Democrats do shut down the government in order to appease their most radical base. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what all they plan to do with that. But Democrats, as usual, doing their damnedest to take the most radical possible route in every way, shape, or form. What do I mean by that? Well, a woman died over the weekend. A woman died over the weekend who you may have heard of, you may not have heard of her. If you are a 2000s kid, you definitely know of her. If you lived through the 60s and the 70s, you definitely heard of her. And it turns out that Democrats had a very interesting take on a very uninteresting woman. We're going to get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD, for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. Oh, Travis McCann. McCann? Is that it in the Facebook chat right now? He's doing a lot of this. Let's see if you can defend this next one. Let's see if you can defend this next one. Let's see if you can do it. So back in the 60s and 70s, there were a whole bunch of these domestic terrorist groups that sprouted up all over the country, from the Black Liberation Army to the PLO to the Black Panthers. And there was one really famous woman involved in it, and her name was Assata Shakur. Now, many of you will hear the name Shakur. Oh, like Tupac. Right? Oh, yeah. No, it was actually his godmother. She was a terrorist and a communist. She's been on the FBI. She's actually, I'm pretty sure, she's actually the longest-serving person. Well, not anymore. She's the longest-serving person on the FBI's most wanted list. But what did she do? Well, during a traffic stop with a New Jersey state trooper, she felt a little upset because she was being pulled over, obviously racially motivated. According to her, so she decided that she would kill him. She decided that she would kill him, and then she was rightly arrested and thrown into prison. At which point, she was then broken out of jail by people like David Bodine and Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn and the rest of the Weathermen and the Weather Underground and all those people, the people that blew up the Capitol building. Somehow that gets left out of left-wing banter when it comes to January 6th talk. They like to ignore that one. Somehow that happens. Well, it turns out that the Democratic Socialists of America praised this woman after she died. Now, she's a cop killer and a domestic terrorist, but that didn't stop them. Here's Robbie Starbuck.
Assata Shakur, a domestic terrorist and murderer who escaped from a U.S. prison in 1979 and lived in exile in Cuba ever since, has died at age 78. Shakur was a far-left communist radical associated with extremist groups like the Black Panthers and the Black Liberation Army in the 1960s and 1970s. This makes her a popular figure with many leftists, even though she is also a convicted cop killer. Indeed, she has been on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list since 2013. Of her numerous crimes, the most heinous, of course, was the murder of New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster on May 2nd, 1973, during a traffic stop. She was convicted of the murder, but escaped from prison in 1979 with the help of left-wing groups, and she fled to Cuba, where the communist government welcomed her as a hero. But Cuban communists are not the only ones who revere Shakur as a hero, rather than a murderer. For decades, she's been a popular figure among leftist radicals. News headlines from mainstream and progressive outlets often recognize her as the godmother of Tupac Shakur, as if she were just another celebrity. The New York Times obituary describes her as a convicted revolutionary. That sounds pretty cool, like they went after her because she was too hip and edgy, too revolutionary. But no, she wasn't convicted of being a revolutionary. She was convicted of cold-blooded murder. She was also charged with numerous other crimes, by the way, including bank robbery, armed robbery, other murders. Those charges didn't stick for a variety of reasons. Cop killer did stick. She was convicted of it. I think that's not the sort of person we would want to hold up as a role model. Call me crazy. And yet leftists are using the occasion of her death to memorialize her as someone who spoke truth to power and fought for a more equitable world. Seriously, the remembrances are pouring in. The Democratic Socialists of America wrote on X, "Rest in power," and thanked Cuba, an authoritarian state that brutally jails dissenters, for their solidarity and loyalty, allowing Assata to live out her days in Havana. That's the kind of state the Democratic Socialists admire, one where cop killers are revered and actual forces for liberation are repressed. I'll just add a reminder here, by the way, that Zohran Mamdani, the would-be mayor of New York City, is a member of this group, the Democratic Socialists. But look, I expect the DSA Twitter account to say stupid things like this. They're a bunch of Marxist radicals. Fine. I was a little taken aback to see the Chicago Teachers Union also celebrating the life of a convicted cop killer, Assata Shakur. The X account for CTU wrote the following: "Rest in power, rest in peace, Assata Shakur. Today we honor the life and legacy of a revolutionary fighter, a fierce writer, a revealed elder of black liberation, and a leader of freedom, whose spirit continues to live in our struggle." Assata refused to be silenced. She taught us that it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It's our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. End quote. Well, those are some really nice sentiments to share about a murderer. The DSA is one thing, but this group, the Chicago Teachers Union, is responsible for educating your children.
Yep, and then people wonder why I go after the teachers union all the time. Because it turns out the Chicago Teachers Union saw fit to to honor a domestic terrorist who murdered a New Jersey state trooper, but didn't see it within their grasp to, even make mention of the fact that Charlie Kirk was slain by a tranny dating furry, or whatever the hell that guy was. No mention of that whatsoever. But hey, it's Tupac's godmother, so... And look, I want to be clear. I like Tupac. I do. By the way, Travis, I'm still waiting for you to justify that one. Still waiting for you to justify that one in the chat. You got a big mouth. You do a big keyboard warrior. Come down. You know what, Travis McCann? Come down on Saturday and we'll have a little chat. Let's see. I don't think you will because you're probably a coward. But that's what the left is. They celebrate political violence. They do. We saw it with Charlie Kirk. We saw it with Assata Shakur. Many people still held her up as some sort of a civil rights icon for no discernible reason whatsoever. As Robbie Starbuck said, they had no problem talking about her revolutionary tactics as she was broken out of jail by people like David Bodine. David Bodine, by contrast, also had his sentence commuted by Andrew Cuomo. We're going to get to him and Zohran Mamdani in a minute because I got news for you. We have no good option here in New York. We simply do not. Sentence was commuted after a Brinks truck robbery that killed 3 people. His son, Kesa Bodine, who was raised by Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn, later went on to become the DA of San Francisco. And you wonder how major American cities turn into the shitholes that they end up being. you wonder how they turn into the shitholes that they end up being. What's up, Rachel Boone? How's it going? Shout out to you. Shout out to you in the chat. So that's what the left does. They celebrate violence, but let's get to, I mentioned Andrew Cuomo, so now, I got to make sure I bring him up because we've got some New York City mayor stuff going on, which is incredibly odd. Now that Mayor Eric Adams has dropped out of the race is starting to shape up. Before we get to that, guys, do me a favor and head on over to lfatv.us. It's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad, your batter's box. For all things LFA-TV related, check out the LFA-TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at LFA-TV. That's the best way to keep the lights on over here and to support the network, guys. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. Travis, come on down on Saturday, bro. You got a big mouth. Let's see if you do it. Come on, sweetheart. Let's go. So, the left continues to celebrate the political violence while we continue to call these sorts of things out. For example, there was a horrific story over the weekend of a man who appears to be some kind of a Trump supporter, former Trump supporter, Army veteran, who drove his car into a church and set it on fire. Totally condemned by everybody. There was nobody celebrating what he did. Not a single person. I would be hard-pressed to find anyone who celebrated that. It's a tragic story of a guy who apparently thought that the Mormons were, defiling Christianity, and I'm not here to get into that, you guys want to argue about that, you feel free. But driving a car into a church with a bunch of jerry cans filled up with gasoline, setting the thing on fire, and shooting people is never celebrated on our side of the aisle. I can't say the same thing for the left. But we are going to get as leftist as it gets unless people start to wake up in New York City. Without Eric Adams in the race, CBS News has got Zoran Mamdani at 44%, Andrew Cuomo at 30%, and Curtis Sliwa down at 17. Now, I know many people do not really believe polling, but Marist, NPR, Quinnipiac, and CBS all have relatively the same numbers, with Zoran at 44, 46, and 46, respectively. Still leaving some undecided voters, but look, I don't like Andrew Cuomo. I don't like him on a plane, and I don't like him on a train. But I can add, if you take Zoran Mamdani at 44 and you add Cuomo and then you take Cuomo at 30 and Sliwa at 17 and you add two of those numbers together, you have a win. Take that for what it's worth. But here's a little taste of what will actually happen when we elect this communist in the great city of New York. Rosanna Scotto, who's not messing around, probably because of who her family is. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying it. Really held his feet to the fire today on Fox 5 News. Check this out.
About decriminalization of certain crimes, because I think another thing people are concerned about is because the Democrats, socialists, are for decriminalizing prostitution. You have a bill in Albany that you're still supporting that would decriminalize prostitution. A lot of people are concerned, especially if you go to Queens, Roosevelt Avenue, the people who live and work around there who have to walk their kids past there are very concerned. Young kids are being prostituted on the streets there. People are concerned. Where do you stand on that? Where do you divorce yourself from the Democratic Socialists of America?
So the platform that I have is the one that is on my website, ZohranForNYC.com. Those are the things that I am running on. This is a coalition that includes organizations and individuals of a wide variety, all of whom are united on affordability.
Do you support decriminalizing prostitution?
Yes, right now what we see in this moment is we have an approach that is not putting safety first. What we saw with the previous mayoral administration was an end to the raids that we saw on sex workers, an end to prosecutions that were taking place of sex workers themselves. What we have to bring to City Hall is a focus on ending sex trafficking, on ensuring that there is no tolerance for violence against women, and also having safety at the cornerstone of all the policies that we pursue. And when we look at the findings of whether it be the World Health Organizations or the United Nations Working Group on the Safety of Girls and Women, we find that decriminalization is one that actually provides the most safety for these sex
I know, a lot of
workers.
people are concerned.
Hey, Zorhan, if you're worried about the safety of women around the world, maybe look to your religion. I don't know. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. You know, in case anybody's curious on what Afghanistan's chief export is right now, it's heroin in teenage girls. That's a real statistic. That's a real figure. That's what Afghanistan exports to the rest of the world. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that there's one group of people on planet Earth that has absolutely no problem with child brides. And, well, I'm not saying it's one group in particular. You know, I'm not going to point the finger in any one direction. But, you know, hey, it happens to be, you know, a group of people that live in the middle somewhere near the east. You don't like the facts, you don't like the truth, then turn the damn show off. It's just reality. And things are getting so bad with an organization in Africa that, of course, subscribes to that same sort of doctrine that takes place in the middle but towards the east. Even Bill Maher is starting to notice that this thing is starting to creep into different continents. Bill Maher, the avowed atheist. Even he is bringing up the genocide of Christians by a group called Boko Haram, which means unclean book. In, anyone want to take a guess what language? Of course, it's Arabic.
The fact that this issue has not gotten on people's radar.
Right, no one's talking about it.
It's pretty amazing. If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Thank you. Because no one will talk about it, so thank you.
Absolutely.
It's Africa. That's why no one's talking about it, and they should be. You can't read about it in mainstream media. It's sad, so thank you for bringing it up.
Well, because the Jews aren't involved. That's why. It's the Christians and the Muslims. Who cares? It's just...
Even when you get the world's most renowned atheist... You get the world's most renowned atheist out there talking about the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. I don't know. Maybe something's happening. But of course, nobody will talk about that. None of the Free Palestine people will even mention that sort of thing because it doesn't fit the narrative in which they want. It's a shame. It's a shame. I wish we could somehow go out there and organize marches about this, but it won't happen. It simply will not happen. Instead, we're going to get people out there talking about, Epstein, and we're still going to find out, and what's going on with that. Nobody gives a shit. We've all moved on. This has been happening since 2009. People ask me why I'm critical of Islam, and I'm like, because they don't stop. I wonder if Zorhan will speak out about that one. Probably not, but he has no problem talking about the genocide in Gaza. You know, the genocide that isn't happening. It's a war, and one side is losing. That doesn't make me an Israeli shill. That makes me just... Turns out if you punch me in the face and then I knock you out, that's not my fault. You're the one who started the fight. Guys, we'll be back in 1 second. Before that, Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. And support the people who support your values by heading on over to oldglorybank.com. So as we proceed in this week, we'll see if the Democrats can go one day without leftist violence in America. We'll see if they can go one day. Obviously, we had the ICE shooting the other day that a guy wrote anti-ICE messaging on. Obviously, we saw that. We saw the Charlie Kirk shooting. Democrats simply cannot stop with their aggressive violence, and then they begin to freak out when President Trump sends people into their particular cities. President Trump also considering sending troops into Chicago to clean up that shithole. And if you don't think it is, then feel free to live there. Feel free to live there anytime you want. As we said, Oregon is already out there. Oregon is already out there suing the Trump administration after deploying the National Guard for actually trying to stand up and protect our cities. This should not come as a shock to anybody. Democrats thrive on managed decline. That's all they have. That's why that poll I showed you earlier from Bill Maher talks about how Trump is winning on the issues, but people still dislike Trump in and of itself. Why? It's because of the media spin. It's because the media lie about it. It's because this angry lesbian Travis in my comments section is sitting back talking about how Donald Trump removed a white supremacist thing from the website, which he didn't. Because that person is dumb. I mean, like, not dumb enough to, like they could make it through the day. They could probably tie their shoes and boil an egg, but there's no second-level thinking there. None whatsoever. I mean, I do feel bad. I do feel bad that these people have to exist this way. I really, really do. Let's pop the live chat up on the screen. We got a little time here. Shout out to everybody watching there over on Rumble. Make sure you guys are watching. If you guys wouldn't mind doing me a favor, rumble.com/loudmajorityus. That's my personal channel. Do me a favor, give that a follow. That would really, really help me out. Once again, it's rumble.com/loudmajorityus. We're going to have some fun towards the end of the show today because I want to show you a guy that you guys might not be familiar with. He's a sheriff down in Florida, and this guy is absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Once again, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. Once again, guys, this Saturday, our 6th annual Montauk rally that drives thousands of people from Massapequa train station we leave at 12 noon, excuse me. Yeah, 12 p.m. We get there at 10 a.m., we hang out, we barbecue, we have a good time, and then we head all the way out east, all the way to Montauk. Giddy up, let's go. Hopefully we see you there. So before I show you guys this hilarious sheriff, you know what? Maybe I will. Do I have time? All right, so there's a sheriff down in Florida who continues to just be absolutely hilarious. His name is Grady Judd. Grady Judd. This man's press conferences might be some of the funniest things I've ever seen. Do me a favor while you're watching this, everyone. Look at the guy standing to his back right, not be able to keep it together. Not even be able to keep it together in the slightest bit. Here is Sheriff Judge.
There's things in life you just can't believe. So you order up a prostitute, right? This prostitute lives with his mother, by the way. He's got a massive criminal history, a 21-year criminal history with 31 criminal charges. So you order up a prostitute, and that's what you think you're getting. Now, when you look at that, you go, wow, that's pretty rough, but, you know, any port in a storm. And then the next morning when you wake up, you find out this is who it really is. Yeah. We call that Coyote Ugly. You see, he's laying on your arm in bed. You go, well, it was rough last night, but I've sobered up. I think I'll just chew my arm off and ease away so I don't disturb him or wake him up. All right, so you think you're buying this, you're getting this. He's got 31 criminal charges, and heck, if you're lucky, he doesn't kill you overnight.
That man is absolutely hilarious. If you are unfamiliar with that man, I pity you. Guys, it's 4 o'clock. Make sure you tune in for Pete Santilli coming up next right here on this network. I will catch you guys back live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.